One of the brilliant things about an OFM is that it can contain color information. So not only do you get to keep the color sequence, but you can hold the exact thread colors that you want to use. DesignShop holds color information in kind of three places. It's got it over here on the left in the mini palette toolbar. And the large swatch here, this is my current color. What if I were to just start digitizing? That's the color I'd be digitizing in. This little sliver here is the background color, so it's a light gray right now. Below that, I've got my active colors. Those are like the cones of thread on my machine. And then below that, you have kind of a pool of potential colors. You might use these, you might not. It's nice for kind of a quick, what would this look like if it was green kind of situation. If I want to change a color, I can right click on it. So if I wanted to change what I was about to digitize with, I could right click on that current color to change it, and it will pop up, and I can select from this list different thread charts. And then I can scrub through those thread charts by dragging on this little arrow or this scroll bar. If I know the number, I could type it in. So if I knew I wanted 1800, that's emerald black. Or I could, again, scroll through, I could select something else. If I knew the name, so let's say I wanted to go back to that black, but I wanted to do it this way, I could go black, and I could hit go, and it would go to black, but it might also go to blackberry. So anything containing that word might pop up. So the less specific it is, if I went to red, we might get Christmas red or brick red or tomato red, candy apple red, electric red, barn red, good night, lots of reds. So if you can be a little more specific, that's better. If you want to go straight to it, the number's the easiest way, but if you remember part of it, you can eventually get there by searching with the name. Okay, so I'm going to hit OK. Now my current color has changed. If I were to start digitizing, it would digitize in that color. In the project view, it's got the color. And so you can see here that it's this deep lilac, and then this floral pink, and then super white, and then this lilac, which is lighter than the deep lilac. So there again is where typing by that name, you might see multiple versions of it. Typing by the number, you're only going to get the one. But you'll also notice here that I've got 8 color changes, but I'm really only using 4 colors. So they come back in. That's why the active colors on the left tend to be I think of them like the cones of thread on my machine. I may use them multiple times in the color sequence, which is shown on the right. And I can change them here too by selecting it, right-clicking, and going to color. It's part of the properties. I can select it here, and then I can do the same thing. I could scrub through, I could search, everything you just saw me do, I could do here as well. And that would change it at the color block level. You could go down and change it by individual elements. So if I wanted to grab just these, and if I wanted to change their color, I could right click, go to color, or I could select them and click on a color in this pool if I just wanted to see what something would look like as green, and then everything that I just selected turned green. You could resequence by clicking and dragging these around. Now when I did that, I need to be careful. I may start to change if I drag this even farther. It's now overlapping very differently than I may want it to. So travel stitches, overlaps, those things kind of really matter when I start resequencing. I'm going to put this back. All right, and now I want to make this the color that it was before. So I'm going to click on this icon, and this is merge. What this does is it merges this color block into the one above it. Could have done that all in one move if I had held shift when I was dragging it up there. Holding shift when you resequence elements will cause the elements that you're dragging to adopt the color of where you're dragging them to. There we go. And I'm going to do that again here. If you had a bunch of them, so let's say I had a bunch of these color blocks and they were all, I'm going to click on this active color to make them all that. they were that already, but now they became their own color blocks. And now I have 9 color blocks that are all exactly the same deep lilac. If I brought this in and I wanted to condense those all into one, I could come up here and click on auto merge, and it would automatically merge any back-to-back identical color blocks. Now that's sticky, it'll stay on. If I were to open another file and it had back-to-back identical color blocks, it would merge those as well. I tend to turn it off unless I need it, and then I'll turn it on. If you're dealing with a lot of files that have those back-to-back identical color blocks and you don't want them, you can leave that on. Other things we could do, you can use color as a selection tool. So I could right click on an active color and I could say select color. And now if I take this out of 3D, it's easier to see. I selected every time that purple occurred. Or I could do it with the pink. And now every color block of that pink is selected. So I can change colors in the project view. I can change them in the properties. If I wanted to change every time a color occurred, I could change the active color. So I could right click, go to edit color, and then I could come grab a green and hit apply. And now I've just changed every time that occurred. If I change it in the project view, I'm changing it that once. If I change it at the element level, I'm introducing new color changes. So let's go back. I'm going to hit undo to just go back. There we go. I've got this looking just the way that I want it, and if I save it as an OFM, I'm going to save all that color information with it. We did that all by looking at colors in the palette. We right-clicked, went to color, or right-click, went to properties, and then color, depending on where we were. But you can also drag and drop color. If one of the color swatches in this pool of colors is what I want, I can click and drag onto one of the active colors to change it. That'll change every instance that it occurs. If these aren't what you want them to be, you can of course right click to change them to whatever you want them to be as well. So that's what it would look like in green. Let's see what it looks like in pink. Okay, what about light blue? So you can drag to get kind of quick ideas of what things would look like. Color is a very important and expressive part of your embroidery, and now you've got a good way to keep track of what colors you're using.